is here, no time to fear. Carell is so near because showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Carell is the one that you need to know. Now it's showtime.
FAFO. Do you know what it means? Because we're going to talk about it today, starting with a pop star or a TV star getting into a fight all the way up to the White House. We're going to talk about it, baby. FAFO, honey. You know what it means? It is the Carell Show. I am Carell. So very glad you are joining me on this Tuesday, March 24th. And what a day it is. Today we're going to talk about FAFO. F-A-F-O. Do you know what it means? F-A-F-O? It means F around and find out. That's what it means. And you know what that F... Well, I can say it. I'm on a podcast. Fuck around and find out. That's what it means. And today, we're going to be talking about it. Have you heard about Alan Ritchson and his fight? I love Alan Ritchson. He's got a beautiful voice. He's a big action star. He is on Reacher. He's handsome. He's a gay LGBTQ ally. I like him a lot. And he beat the crap out of somebody. Did they deserve it? Does anyone ever deserve it? We're going to talk about that. I'm going to show you some video killed the radio star of a piece from the New York Times. That's right, the New York Times. We're going to talk about how some farmers down in South Texas and some builders down in South Texas effed around and found out. We're going to talk about that. So we got a lot to talk about. And of course, we have Donald Trump today talking about how we were having very productive talks with Iran. But if you watch the BBC or read anything of any, real substance, you will see that Iran is denying it. That they're like, we ain't talking to him. We don't know what voices he hearing. Voices in his head. But we ain't talking to him. So, and again, Trump might be being told that people are talking and they're not. Maybe someone's just got his ear that's giving him wrong info. Or maybe he's just demented and daft. But either way, we're going to talk about that. But you know how I like to do this day in history. Take a look at my meme for the day. That's Ember and I. And that's an illustration of us in 1987. Because today, in 1987, when I was 25 years old, ACT UP did its first rally on Wall Street. Now, I don't know if you all remember ACT UP. I do. A group started with the help of Larry Kramer under Ronald Reagan to demand that they pay attention to AIDS. And the slogan that ACT UP used, and still uses, is as relevant today, and even more so, as it was back then. And so if you look at the sign, I had ChatGPT recreate the signs. If you look at the sign back there, it says ACT UP, silence equals death. And for us, for the gay community, silence equaled death. That's what it equaled. And I thought about that saying, and I thought about it in today's context. And, it is just as powerful today as it was back then. Silence equals death. Democrats and others have sat around being quiet while bad behavior has triumphed. And by sitting around and letting it happen, all the things we love, including our country, are dying. And so silence completely equals death. And so today, in 1987, was March 24th, 1987, was the first ACT UP rally on Wall Street. And I'm so proud of the queens that made it happen. I am so proud of Larry Kramer, people like Randy Pesqueda over in Southern California. I am so proud of the early LGBTQ activists that so many people today have forgotten. I have not. I marched alongside of them. and they fill my heart with joy thinking of them and their courage and their strength. And they got it done. Now, the No Kings rally is coming up. And you know that I've poo-pooed those in the past, but I'm not going to this time because I remember how vital and crucial the ACT UP march on Wall Street in 1987 today was, and future marches that they had, and how it made us feel visible and seen and gave us a sense of camaraderie. Did it change much? Did Ronald Reagan suddenly see the light? No, but it was the beginning. And so just like then as now, silence equals death. Our country is dying. And if we're quiet about it, it's going to go.
If you're not visiting reallycorel.com daily, you're missing out. Get the podcast, videos, and the blog, including recipes at reallycorel.com. That's really KAREL.com.
Showtime is here, no time to fear. Corel is so near because showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Corel is the one that you need to know.
Sandy in the chat room at youtube.com/reallycorel, who said that we all laid down in the middle of a busy street and held up gravestones, stopped traffic to draw attention to people who died from AIDS. You have my heart. Those were my friends. The names on those headstones, those were my friends. Before we get into more topics, I've been having a rough time mentally of late. I have. My sister is in rehab, but her brain is not cooperating sometime. Other times it is, other times it's not. We talked this morning and had a great conversation, and then all of a sudden she just went off into left field. But it's really made me think about mortality, life, as yesterday's show will attest, and having survived the Holocaust that was AIDS has made me grateful to be 63, but also made me fearful because I know how quickly life can change and you can basically be dead, so I've been having a struggle with that. I don't want in April, I go to have my heart scanned again, and my aorta is getting bigger. It's at like 4.4. If it reaches 5.0, we have to do an intervention, which is either open heart surgery or going in through the groin. I don't want that. I don't want any of that. I know it'll save my life, and without it, I will die. So I want to live, but I don't want to have open heart surgery. Yes, we've come a long way, but it's still open heart surgery. You could still die. I know 98% of the people don't, but you know what I'm saying. It's not something you want to just sign up for to do. And I look to the future with a little bit of fear because I know medically I'm now walking that I'm aging tightrope. And yet I am so grateful to be here because so many of my friends were not. They were names on tombstones, names on a quilt, names on the AIDS blanket. So today, ACT UP in 1987 had its first rally on Wall Street, and silence equals death just now as it did back then. We must not be silent. And there has to be repercussions for actions. And we live in an era now where we refuse to punish people for acting poorly. In fact, we only punish people who are trying to do the right thing. We punish vegans in today's world. We do. We make it hard for vegans to get food now under Donald Trump. We make them feel isolated, alone, like freaks. And yet vegans are the ones doing the right thing for both the planet and for animals. In fact, vegans are being more Christian than Christians that eat meat. Thou shalt not kill. It doesn't say thou shalt not kill humans. It says thou shalt not kill. So if you are truly following the Bible, you're a vegan. If you truly believe in Christ, you are a vegan. Or a pescatarian. We know that Christ ate fish. But you know what I'm saying. We punish people nowadays for doing the right thing. If you try to respond to these haters online, today I went onto TikTok and looked at my official Corel there. The haters in my comments, all about my lisp, by the way, because MAGA never graduated third grade. Okay? So they think making fun of my neck waddle because I'm 63 and had a life, or making fun of my lisp is in some way going to harm me, hurt me, bother me, like I haven't heard that since I was in third grade. And that's who they are. And they're not punished. They can make fun of me and what could be deemed a speech impediment, and their comments are left up. But if I call them an asshole or pick them apart, suddenly they're the victim, because that's what MAGA and bullies do. They bully you until you push back, and then suddenly they're the victim. And nowhere is that evidenced more than in the Alan Ritchson fight. Okay? Nowhere is that illustrated more. Now let me show you the video in case you don't know what I'm talking about. This video has two things. It has the fight, and then it has the guy that got beat up actually doing what a lawyer would have told him not to do. Going on TMZ and admitting that he pushed Alan Ritchson not once, but twice. And when he's talking, look behind him in the upper left corner. You're going to see something very telling. So here's what all the hoopla is over. Here we go. That's Alan Ritchson beating someone. Just a couple hits, by the way. He didn't kick him. Now that's Alan's bike on the ground, and it's on the ground. So that was the fight. There's the big fight. Now here's the explanation from the victim to TMZ. And as you can see, he still instigates it. He doesn't just leave it alone. He's still instigating.
It started on Saturday morning and I'm an experienced motorcycle rider. I've been riding bikes all my life. So, from dirt bikes to street bikes and etc. But I'd heard this incestuous revving and speeding through our neighborhood of the motorcycle. I eventually saw the guy on Saturday. I didn't know who it was. And I sort of flippantly said, "Guy, like he was quite away." And I said, "Can you just slow it down, please?" And then there are numerous people in my neighborhood who caught all of this on Ring doorbells of him speeding through the neighborhood. And on Sunday, when I was cleaning my bike outside my house, he rode past once, twice, and on the second time, I walked out in front of him and I said, "You've got to stop. Someone's going to get hurt." And it escalated quite quickly from there. I did push him because he was coming towards me on his bike. He did it again for a second time. I pushed him a second time. And I think the second time he got off his bike and it kicked the crap out of me. And you can see he hit me in the back of my head. I went to the ground and covered myself. I've had such a shitty day today, and I don't wish the guy any malice or ill will, but we just don't need people riding through neighborhoods like this. And I just decided, I'm take a stand because someone else has to, because it's going to end up way worse than it could have.
Now let's do the fight one more time. He hits him again. There he hits him a third time. And then he leaves him alone. Now those are Alan's kids on those other two bikes. So the guy goes, picks up his glasses. Alan tries to get back on his bike. His throttle gets stuck, so his bike spins about. The guy is still shouting at him, still yelling at him. And now the guy turns around, has even more to say. Now, I don't know if you saw the MAGA hat hanging in the back behind the victim, but he has a MAGA hat. And did you hear what he said? The first day, Saturday, he went out and tried to be a Karen and tell Alan not to ride through the neighborhood on motorcycles with his kids. Perfectly legal to do, by the way. And if Alan was breaking the law, then it was up to this guy to call the police and not, be a Karen. But he was a Karen. Then the next day, Sunday, by his own admission, he goes out is a Karen again, gets in front of Alan on the motorcycle, pushes him not once, but pushes him twice. The second time he pushes him off the bike. So Alan, being a 6'7" tank, takes him to task for that because he laid hands on him. He pushed him twice. So Alan beats him down, doesn't overdo it, doesn't kill him, doesn't maim him, just hits him 3 times. He just happens to be a tank. I mean, he could be deemed a deadly weapon. I bet he's got a deadly weapon. Oh, God, he's hot. I'd be beaten. I'd let him punch me if we could have sex after. Kidding. But then they go on their way. And now this guy is screaming he's a victim. Saturday, he annoys Alan and his kids. Sunday, he annoys Alan and his kids. He goes out and gets in front of the motorcycle, pushes Alan twice. Twice. He admits. He admits it. All they have to do is play that video in court and the case is dismissed. Pushes him twice. So Alan gets off the bike and shows him what happens if you fuck around. You find out. And this is what's wrong in America. While I do not advocate violence, I don't. Had Alan been a different type of personality, he probably would have just driven away. But here he is in front of his kids, and he's a big action star, you know, and the guy that he plays on TV actually gets justice for people who are abused, and this guy's out there abusing him. I mean, what did this guy think was going to happen? You walk up to a motorcyclist who happens to be the size of a gorilla, and you push him, not once, but twice. What did he think was going to happen? Nothing. Because he's MAGA. Because MAGA thinks they can do whatever they want and nothing's going to happen to them. Because somehow they're imbued by God with the ability to fuck around and not find out. Because their president fucks around all the time and doesn't find out. Suffers 0 repercussions. He led an insurrection on January 6th. 0 repercussions. He allegedly raped a 13-year-old girl. 0 repercussions. He allegedly trafficked in young girls with Jeffrey Epstein. 0 repercussions. He has started an illegal war in Iran, which is making the entire world suffer. And what does he do? He goes to Graceland. Ain't making that up. President Trump went to Graceland yesterday. Gas prices soaring. Grocery prices about to soar because of fertilizer cost. Americans being put in harm's way. Troops being sent to the Middle East as we speak. Caskets coming back with American soldiers. 160 dead schoolgirls in Iran. Our energy infrastructure under attack. And what does Trump do? He goes to Graceland. Yep. All of these Republican senators making racist statements that Islam should not be in polite society and all this other stuff. Are they suffering any repercussions? No. Donald Trump destroying air travel by refusing to make a deal on DHS funding. Do the Republicans suffer any repercussions for that? No. I'm choking on my own saliva. So we live in a world where you can fuck around and not find out. Well, not in Alan Rickman's world. Look what ICE just did at the San Francisco airport the day before ICE was deployed. This actually happened the night before ICE was deployed. Look at this. Watch this.
Proud of yourselves.
Bystanders at San Francisco International Airport Sunday night caught a moment where federal agents were seen manhandling a mother traveling with her daughter. This happened hours before ICE agents were officially deployed at airports all across the U.S. to assist with TSA. According to the person that posted that video, that happened at the domestic terminal at SFO. The woman was with her daughter daughter who was reportedly a U.S. citizen. The mother, however, could not prove that she was, so she was taken into custody. A spokesperson for the San Francisco International Airport tells TMZ, "We understand federal officers were transporting 2 individuals on an outbound flight when this incident occurred. We believe this is an isolated incident and have no reason to suspect broader enforcement action at SFO." The statement continues, "We were not involved in or notified in advance of this incident. Airport operations continued without disruption, and there was no impact to flights or passenger processing."
Leave her alone! What are you doing? Leave her alone! What are you doing?
I hope you're so proud of yourselves. Proud of yourselves.
Bystanders at San Francisco International Airport.
Isn't that horrible? Isn't that absolutely horrible? That even could happen in the United States? This woman's daughter is an American citizen. She couldn't prove that she was. But to treat a person that way at the airport? Can you even imagine? I mean, and are they going to find out? Anything going to happen to them? No. And it should. Those agents should be dismissed, thrown out, fired. But they won't be. When we come back, more. I got more.
Now it's showtime.
20 people watching, only 2 ICE agents. I am not advocating violence, but why didn't anyone help that poor lady? Why didn't anybody help her? And I mean the police. Why didn't San Francisco PD? I'm not saying that you should jump in between ICE and their job. You will get hurt or killed. And it's not your place to do that. But it is the police's job. They didn't have a warrant for this woman. They didn't know whether she was legal or not. They could have cited her, given her a citation and said, you're going to have to come to court and prove your citizenship. Here's a citation. But no, they treat her in an inhuman fashion. They commit assault and battery on her. And nothing is done. We need the police to start stepping in and stopping these people. But no. And talk about the ultimate fuck around and find out. I am seeing more and more of these videos. Watch this. This is from the New York Times.
I did vote for Mr. Trump. Deporting the criminals is a great policy. These foundations are poured ready to go and we can't even start the construction on them. But we voted for the American dream, and unfortunately right now we're not seeing that.
For months, federal agents have been sweeping up workers at construction sites in South Texas.
ICE has raided us anywhere between 10 to 15 times throughout different subdivisions.
Now, work sites across the Rio Grande Valley have ground to a halt. And that's got some Trump supporters in this midterm battleground changing their minds.
These people would just show up to our job sites with no warrants, taking all our workers, even the workers with proper documentation.
Many who work in the construction industry here told us they largely rely on immigrant workers, some of whom are undocumented. DHS did not respond to the Times' request for comment, but in a previous statement, it said these raids protect the nation's workforce.
I've supported Mr. Trump in every election that he's been a part of. We just never thought that this would come and affect us in the construction industry, but most importantly, affect our economy here in South Texas.
We are seeing a reduction of almost 60% of our volume on the residential side of our business. We applied for bankruptcy in December.
We saw a drop in sales of about $5.3 million. For 40 years, we had never laid anybody off, and until this happened, we were forced to.
And beyond construction, local businesses say fear is keeping shoppers at home.
And there's been a lot of loss of sales because of that. It killed us this year.
Construction is one of the main pillars to the economy here. Everybody's hurting.
In the Rio Grande Valley, 2 of President Trump's top priorities, the economy and mass deportation, are colliding as ICE raids upend the construction industry. And at a parade along the U.S.-Mexico border, Democrats are trying to capitalize on voters' frustration.
The economic implications are huge. People who voted for Trump are no longer doing it because they can't afford to do it anymore.
For decades, the Rio Grande Valley, where more than 80% of the population is Latino, reliably voted for Democrats. Then in 2024, voters here swung further toward President Trump than almost anywhere else in the country.
You know, I think Democrats stopped showing up here. They took this community for granted, and so when Republican politicians showed up and made big promises, people took a chance. A year later, we're seeing those promises weren't kept.
So we were going to build 196 apartments here in a year, but because of all the ICE raids and all the enforcements that we've been seeing, it's going to take us 3 years now to go ahead and finish this development.
County property records show these slowdowns have spread throughout the industry, as banks that lend to home builders report fewer transactions.
We were seeing certain banks that did that kind of lending suddenly have much slower activity. Those numbers were declining, about 30 to 40%. We weren't sure why exactly, and I started asking some of these lenders, what is going on? We found out that they were struggling to keep their people on the jobs because of ICE.
In February, Mario requested a meeting with ICE through his congressional representatives. He went to Washington, D.C. with a few other builders and pleaded with them to ease up on job sites in South Texas.
It basically told us that if a construction site is not fenced in, it's considered public property, and that's why they don't have to show a warrant. So we started fencing in all our properties.
He said that after the meeting, ICE activity at job sites did decline, but the damage had already been done.
I hope they realize that this is really, really affecting us, and it's affecting the way that we feel towards the administration. I did vote for Mr. Trump.
So that was from the New York Times, the ultimate F around and find out. Did you hear his statement? I voted for Donald Trump, but I didn't think it would affect me. I didn't think his policies on immigration would affect me. And now that it suddenly does, oh, this is horrible. Our business is down millions of dollars, and it's going to take us 3 extra years to complete this, and our businesses in Brownsville are yeah, you're Hispanic people, and you voted for a fucking racist who thinks you're dirt. And we told you. You know, MAGA said if we vote for Kamala Harris, we would have unending Middle Eastern wars. We would have a failed immigration system. We would have higher prices everywhere. Well, for once, they're right. I voted for Kamala Harris, and I have all of those things now because their guy won. They're suffering the repercussions, the people in Brownsville, Texas, and they should. They should go out of business. I don't want any sympathy or pity for the people in the video that you just saw. Their businesses should fold. Their families should go hungry. You fucked around, and now you're finding out. We need more of that, not less. More. We need more Trump supporters to feel the pain they have inflicted upon themselves. And so we are big on offenses and short on repercussions. A MAGA person goes into a fast food restaurant, gets all racial, calls people names, throws drinks at the employees. If the employee smacks the shit out of them, the employee will be fired. The restaurant will get sued because suddenly the maggot will be the victim. We have got to change that. I am with Alan Ritchson at this point of my life. Someone comes at you, pushes you, tries to throw you down. Maybe turning the other cheek isn't the best method right now. Of course, you better be as big as him. Don't be 63 with a little dog because it ain't going to work out. We've got so much more to go. Don't go anywhere except to my website.
Broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Corralcast on your favorite streaming service. You're listening listening to the Carell Cast. Driving you home or driving you crazy. It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Carell Cast on your favorite streaming service. You're listening to the Carell Cast. Driving you home or driving you crazy.
All right. So yesterday, I actually, I got a lot of crap yesterday because I said that Nevada was basically filled with losers, and that it was the state, for losers. And I got, a lot of flack. I got a lot of haters. People were like, "Oh, you're just blah, 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 blah." So I'm like, okay, let me look up. So I'm looking right now for my chat GPT that gave me all the statistics. And it was really eye-opening. Not only was I right, but here are the facts about Nevada. Because yesterday I said, oh, Nevada's for losers and, all of that kind of stuff. So here's what I came up with, or what it came up with, about Nevada. And even I was shocked when I read. I thought, whoa, my goodness, this is bad. So in education, Nevada is in the bottom 10 of all states, the bottom 10. For healthcare, it's in the bottom 5. For economic growth, it's in the top 10 because businesses are moving here. But in economic stability, it's in the bottom 5. For quality of life, it's number 45 out of 50 in the United States. For healthcare outcomes, it's number 42 out of 50 states. And unemployment is well above the U.S. average. So everything I said about Nevada, 88 to 90% of adults have a high school diploma, but only 27% have a college degree, which is below the national average of 35%. Overall, we rank 45th for education. Our K through 12 is in the bottom 5 of the U.S., the bottom 5. Our public school quality is 45th. And Lombardo, our governor, has the nerve to show his face in public. Education is one of Nevada's weakest areas, thus the losers. The median household income is $70,000. It's below the national average. Economically, it ranks in the top 10, but economic well-being for families is number 48. So jobs exist, but stability and affordability are the problems. Unemployment's about 6% higher than U.S. average. Healthcare system, 46th out of 50. Overall health outcomes, 42 out of 50. We have doctor shortages. Over 20% of our population is uninsured, and people are constantly skipping care because of the cost. We are in the bottom 5 for healthcare. Quality of life, number 36. And we're 45th out of the 50 best states to live. So, yeah. Losers. Not a great place. So all the haters that took me to task yesterday, I got receipts. I can back it up. And again, Lombardo is the governor. He suffers no repercussions from those bad numbers. He's rich. He gets great health care. What does he care? He doesn't. What do the billionaires that run the properties on the strip care? They don't. Meanwhile, you can't get good health care, and people are stupid. And I mean that. I'm not saying that to be flippant. Look at the education numbers. Our K through 12 are the only place worse is Mississippi and Louisiana. And Wallet Hub just came out with the most stressful states to live in. Nevada's number 6. So we do rank in the top 10 for that. It's a mess. America is a mess right now. A mess. And no one wants to talk about it. And if you bring it up, you're the problem. I'm getting hate.
If you're not visiting reallycorrell.com daily, you're missing out. Get the podcast, videos, and the blog, including recipes at reallycorrell.com. That's really KAREL.com.
Showtime is here, no time to fear. Corel is so near because showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Corel is the one that you need to know.
I danced because we did. I danced because we could. I danced to show the world. I danced to show the good. Yesterday, I asked ChatGPT if I could buy stock in Infensa, INFENSA pharmaceutical. And they said no, because it's not a public company yet. But when it goes public, I want us all to buy stock in Infensa, INFENSA, Infensa. Because they are inventing or they have a drug in preclinical trials that's made from spider venom. Okay? Spider venom. It's in phase 1 clinical trials right now. It protects the heart and brain during a heart attack or stroke from cell death. That is the biggest problem when you have a heart attack or stroke. And if they give you this drug while you're having the heart attack or stroke, parts of your heart that normally die in a heart attack will not. And if you're having a stroke, the parts of your brain that will normally die during the stroke from being deprived oxygen won't die. And it comes from a spider venom. It's a peptide called HI1A. The drug is currently called IB409. It's Infensa, INFENSA Bioscience. Watch for it. If it goes public and this drug works, buy stock, because that drug will make billions of dollars. Billions. Can you imagine? Can you imagine a drug that does that? That's something. That's incredible. Yeah, that's what I was talking to ChatGPT about yesterday, because I got sick of all this, other stuff. Look, I'm not saying we should become violent. We shouldn't. But there needs to be repercussions for what's going on. And sometimes those repercussions are violent, meaning arrest, jail, prosecution. Donald Trump should be on trial for the Epstein files alone. And then he had that word. Did any of you see the post he did about Tallarico and others? Did any of you see that? Let me read it. It's on my Instagram. It was something. It was something. Where is it? Listen to this word salad that Donald Trump posted, because he can't sleep. He doesn't sleep. All night long, he's up posting on Truth Social. So James Tallarico, who was in that video that I showed from the New York Times, here's what he said. This is what he said. First, he sends out a post being joyous about Robert Mueller. And when anyone in his cabinet was cornered about that, they all gave him a pass. Oh, well, his family has been through so much at the hands of Mueller and blah, blah, blah. No, they haven't. Okay? Mueller did not order the raids at Mar-a-Lago, but, they were coming up with excuses. So me being happy when Charlie Kirk died, I'm the Antichrist. But Donald Trump, a seated president, saying he's happy when Mueller died, and he gets a pass. Then he posts this. This shows his dementia. I'm going to read it as written. Are you ready? Here we go. The Democrat running in Texas, James Tallarico, turns out to be a fraud. It showed after the election when he beat low IQ candidate Jasmine Crockett, no relation to Davy Crockett. He's got 6 genders. I don't even know what that means. Insults to Jesus. Only vegan food. Remember what I said about vegans being vilified even though we're the ones doing the right thing? Because, as I said, today, if you do the right thing, you're the villain. Only vegan food. Was wearing a mask in 2023 and 2024 and is a weak, ineffective guy who we allowed to win. We allowed to win. He wrote that. We allowed to win. Prior to releasing the avalanche of information we had on him, because as bad as Crockett was as a candidate, this guy is worse. I believe that any human being running against him, sick, incompetent, close to death, or even a child could win. He may be the worst candidate I have ever seen, other than, of course, Gavin Newsome, who admitted that he suffers from mental incapacity, is unable to read a speech, and is dumb. But in saying the dumb comment, referred to his audience and therefore became, in the eyes of African Americans, a total racist, which is probably true. What? I'm reading this word for word. Do you guys understand any of this? Gavin admits that he's a low IQ individual, which typically is not good for winning the presidency. His interview may have been the worst ever given by a professional politician. I believe it takes him out of the race. Kamala is back. What? If your grandfather sent that out on social media, not only would you take his keyboard away, but you'd take the car keys away and you'd be calling his doctor to adjust his medication. I mean, this is from Donald Trump's official Truth Social account. It is posted there. You can go and see it. If you're watching MAGA and you don't believe me, go look at your guy's Truth. So, the Temu Instagram, Truth Social. Go read it for yourself. He posted this on Truth Social. I can give you the date and time that he posted it. It has been widely reported in the news. He posted it. And he is fucking insane. He has dementia. He shits in a diaper all day long. He can't walk upstairs on Air Force One, so they had to make them smaller. He gets IVs in his hands every day for some unknown drug. He has cardiovascular insufficiency. His legs do not pump the blood back up to his heart and brain. He doesn't sleep. He has dementia. And this post proves it. But more importantly, look what he has done to the office of the presidency. He is a classless president for a classless voter group. MAGA has no class whatsoever. They wouldn't know class and culture if it bit them in the ass. They wouldn't. They know nothing. To them, music is Kid Rock. I mean, they have no class, no culture, no command of the English language. They're uneducated, poor, and they support a man who is a sexual predator felon and is insane. It's clinically insane. And where's the repercussion? Why isn't Congress doing something to stop this man? And I mean the Republicans in Congress. I told you that he was lying about talking with Iran. I told you this yesterday. I said he's lying because it's a grift. He wants to make money. Well, guess what The Guardian is reporting this morning? 8 minutes before he released the statement that we were in talks with Iran and oil and the S&P went up, 8 minutes before that, there was an unknown spike in purchases in the oil and energy sector. It visually spiked way up. And then he made that announcement. And all those people in that 8 minutes before that bought made a shit ton of money, which means they had insider information. The BBC today said that somebody had to have had insider information and made purchases. And it's Trump. He told people before he was going to do it and then crafted a lie to make the market go up. He is a grifter. And he grifted the system yesterday to make a shit ton of money and is lying. Today, again, Iran has announced they are not in talks with the United States. That they're not happening. Donald Trump's telling the media here and telling the world, oh yes, we're having very productive talks with high-level Iranian officials. Iran's official stance, no, you are not. Qatar today had a press conference. And at the press conference, the president or the king of Qatar was asked, are you negotiating with Iran on behalf of the United States? The king of Qatar said, no, we are not. We are not talking to Iran for the United States. In fact, we're talking to Iran to see about how we can get back to peaceful relations because, as I always point out on the show here, the king of Qatar must listen to me because he said the same thing. Iran has been around for 2.5 centuries. It's not going anywhere. And so we must learn to be neighbors and get along. So not only is Qatar not negotiating with Iran for the United States, they're actually negotiating their own peace with Iran. Donald Trump is lying. And the media will not confront him. They will not say, sir, why are you lying? If you are having talks, give us the names of the people you are having talks with. Because Iran says you're not. And what a world we live in that the Iranian regime is actually more truthful than the American. That because of all the lies Donald Trump tells and all the gaming of the system that he does, it is easier to believe an Iranian leader than the United States. The BBC said that, not me. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? So we have a demented, insane president who is out there posting things on Truth Social that would get your grandfather committed to a home. We have a president who is lying about negotiating with Iran and doing so he can make financial gain. And while you suffer at the pump and pay more for groceries, and while Americans are in harm's way and dying, he visits Graceland. Wow. All right, I opened with the Alan Ritchson fight. What do you think? What do you think about that? Is Alan justified? I think he is. I think he is. This guy goes out, blocks his motorcycle, pushes him twice. I think he's justified. And the guy that did it was MAGA, because MAGA has this idea that you can just go bully people and do whatever you want and nothing's going to happen because nothing happens to their guy that does it. Well, that maggot met somebody. By the way, Alan Ritchson hates MAGA. He can't stand them. And yesterday, he beat the hell out of one. Was it justified? I mean, the guy pushed him twice. If someone pushes you off your motorcycle, do you have the right to take that person down? Yes or no? I'd love to see your comments down below the video. When you like or when you subscribe at youtube.com/Willie Carell, leave a comment. You saw the video. It's here in the show. You saw it. You now know the other side from the man himself. The victim, allegedly, the alleged victim, in an interview said, I pushed him twice. So the guy that got beat acknowledges that he pushed him twice. So someone pushes you twice. Jesus said, turn the other cheek. You only got one cheek. So I guess you get one hit. Jesus said nothing about the second hit. So what do y'all think? Was he justified? Also, what do you think of the video I showed from the New York Times of the people in South Texas who now regret their Trump vote and who now say they would not vote again for Donald Trump? He has lost. It has completely flipped. In Brownsville, Texas, normally Democratic, normally 70 to 80% vote for Democrats. However, in the last election, 60% of the Hispanics there voted for Donald Trump. Now, they just did a poll, 70% of those same Hispanics would not vote for him again. What do you think? Do you feel sorry for them? Do you feel pity for them? Or did they fuck around and find out? Sort of the theme today. We'll be right back to finish up, child. Oh, I'm reading the chat. Well, yeah, I'm sick of bullies too. That's why I'm not reading any of my social media comments anymore. These people that want to make fun of my lisp, they want to make fun of my neck, they want to make fun of my gayness. Yesterday, someone asked if my earrings were the bolts in Frankenstein's neck. That's all these people have. That's all they have. They're just bullies. I outgrew them in 3rd grade. I will tell you, the most commented post, or the comment that I made online that has gotten the most response, over 300 responses, was a person said you shouldn't sing in a Broadway show. That if you're in the audience of a Broadway show, you should sit down and shut up for the whole show and not sing. And I said, if someone wants to sing along at their seat, they paid for their ticket, they should be allowed to. Now, I did have to clarify that I don't mean they should be so loud that you can't hear this person on stage. But if they're just sitting there, I'm flying high, defying gravity. If they're just sitting there like that, let them sing. But, I mean, if they're, I'm flying high, okay, no. No. But if they're just singing along in their seat and they're not, belting out a tune, let them sing. The anger and vitriol from the young people, because young people are now just fucking snowflakes. The younger generation can't handle anything. They're just snowflakes. The same with MAGA. They're just snowflakes. Look at what MAGA is offended by. Drag queens reading to children. No problem has ever happened from a drag queen reading to people, but MAGA is offended by it. MAGA is offended by trans people. Although they're less than 1% of the population, most of them have never met them, and Charlie Kirk subscribed to a trans person's OnlyFans. Yet, allegedly. Yet they're mad at trans people. They're mad at men in women's sports, although there are no men in women's sports at all. Period. Zero. If a trans person has transitioned and has finished the transition, they are no longer male. They are female. So there is no man in women's sports. No matter how butch you think Martina Navratilova is, there are no men in women's sports, but they are triggered by it. They're just triggered. They're triggered by someone who is not related to them and not in their family, someone they don't know having an abortion. That triggers them. They are just triggered. They're triggered over legal Americans, legal immigrants with green cards and everything else. Or they're triggered over undocumented people getting health care or getting food, and yet they claim to be Christian. and they're triggered. They're triggered by atheists or people who don't believe in their fairy tale. They're triggered by it. This is the biggest group of snowflakes I have ever heard of. But what aren't they triggered by? What doesn't upset MAGA? School shootings don't upset MAGA. They don't care how many kids are wiped out. If it means they have to keep their guns, then that's all that they care about. So they don't care about mass shootings. They don't care about a president who is in the Epstein files more than Christ is in the Bible. That doesn't trigger them. They're not triggered by a president who slept with a porn star on his pregnant wife. That doesn't trigger them. They're not triggered by a president who has 31 felony counts against him. They're not triggered by paying $5 a gallon for gas that they don't need to pay because of an unending war, which the guy campaigned against and then starts. And that doesn't trigger them. Nope. But let a drag queen try to perform in Texas, that triggers them. Let a trans person try to use a bathroom in Tennessee, that triggers them. They're not triggered by the fact Republicans are trying to take away their right to vote. They just think it's going to make it all fair. Oh, no. They're not triggered by that. They're not triggered by the debacle at the airport with the TSA. They're not triggered by that. Oh, but, let a gay person try to get married, and that triggers them. MAGA is the most snowflake movement to ever be. They are the biggest pansies around. They got to drive big-ass trucks with flags because their dicks are so small. It's sad. They're not triggered by people that abuse their spouses. That doesn't trigger them. But let their wife make more money than them, and that bothers them. They want them to be obedient. They want to take away their wife's right to vote. This is the most fragile group of snowflakes I have ever seen in a political movement in my life. Are they triggered here in Nevada? We got MAGA taking over Nevada. Are they triggered that we're in the bottom 5 for education? That our K through 12 schools are the worst in the nation? Does that trigger them? No, not at all. But let a teacher talk about slavery in the proper light, that triggers them. Oh, yeah. Let a teacher point out how bad white people truly have been throughout history, and that triggers them. But the fact that their kids can't read at a 5th grade level, that doesn't trigger them. Wow. Wow. I mean, this is the world in which we are living. And these are the people in which we are sharing it with. They will scream, "We don't support Israel. We don't support Israel. We don't want to give all this money to Israel." And then we literally go to war for Israel and make the rest of the world suffer, and it doesn't trigger them. Go figure. I am Carell. You be who you want to be, so I'm not hurt anybody. Back tomorrow, Wednesday the 25th. I hope you all have a really great afternoon. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow Official Carell, Really Carell, my website, reallycarell.com. Go there. And if you're a patron, thank you. And if you're not, please become one at patreon.com/Really Carell.
It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Carell Cast on your favorite streaming service. You're listening to the Carell Cast. Driving you home or driving you crazy. It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Carell Cast on your favorite streaming service.